Welcome back with me, Harriet Minter, talking franchising and being your own boss. And this is the episode I'm probably most looking forward to because it's the one where I get to talk to the people who are actually doing it. Today, I am joined by husband and wife team, Suhail and Tasnim, who are franchisees with the home care franchise business Home Instead. Hello, both.
Hi, Harriet.
Thank you so much for joining me today. So one of the reasons I was really excited about talking to both of you is because you don't just have one franchise, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you obviously really love it. Do you see them as kind of individual businesses or one large business?
First of all, Harriet, thank you very much for having us on today. We see it as a group of 5 franchise offices as one large business. We started our first office in 2014 when we opened up in Glasgow North. Taz joined us in 2016 with the second office in Glasgow South. 2 years ago, we opened up in Stirling and Falkirk. And earlier on this year, we took the plunge and opened up another 2 offices, one in South Ayrshire and the other one in Perthshire. So we do see it as one large business, as we do share a number of resources amongst all the offices. For example, things like administration and finance functions are shared across the group.
So you're basically single-handedly taking over Scotland, I think.
Well, there are 12 franchises, I think, in Scotland at the moment. Having 5 of them, who knows what could happen in the future. We've not stopped yet.
How did you get into it, Suhail? What was your starting point?
I've been involved for business for almost 30 years now. Prior to joining Home Instead, Harriet, I was a co-founder and director of a large global software company. I sold my shares in that business back in 2012, and I was looking for a new business opportunity. I'd worked in corporates and partnerships before, but I wanted very much to be my own boss. But given the risks associated with conventional startups and the high rate of business failures, I looked at franchising as an attractive business model which could work for me. And this was 7 years ago. In Scotland, franchising wasn't a big thing, but I remembered reading at the time that 97% of franchises operate profitably. So the success factor in franchising is quite high, and that's what attracted me to it.
I think that's really lovely because actually one of the things that we talked about in the last video is that if you want to be your own boss, but perhaps you want a bit more security, that this is a good way of doing it. Taz, what attracted you?
This man brought me into it, to be honest. I myself, I have over 25 years experience in retail and had a fantastic career with luxury brands such as Chanel and Calvin Klein. And I believe I would have still stayed in that sector had it not been for Suhail's enthusiasm in what he started. And most importantly, the difference that his work was making to people's lives. And I've got to be honest and say he did truly inspire me. So with business going well, I thought, if he can do it, then so can I. And that's what we decided to do, invest in the second territory. And I became his franchise neighbour. So I'd gathered amazing experience working in retail and in particular with Chanel. But there came a point where I realised I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to have my own business and I wanted to do it my way. And that's what I did, basically.
I think that's such an important point you made at the beginning there, which we don't think about enough, which is like what you do actually makes the difference. It impacts people's lives in a really important and personal way. So you sort of run one of the franchisees each, but you've got another 3. How do they operate?
We actually brought in general managers into the business, and those appointments are key to our growth. Home Instead, quite rightly, requires to have a nominated person running each office as someone needs to take responsibility and ownership of everything that goes into the business. So as well as Suhail and myself running an office each, 2 of our general managers actually grew from within, one from Glasgow North and one from Glasgow South office. And also my brother-in-law, Suhail's brother, joined the business as well, and he operates the Perthshire office.
I love it's a family business.
Very much, yeah.
Suhail, why home care? Why was that the franchise for you?
Once I decided that franchising was the best option for me, I looked at a number of different franchise systems. I looked at Domino's, I looked at Pizza Hut, I looked at a number of food and beverage options. But then a friend who worked in franchising suggested that home care was something I should consider. People are living longer in their own homes. They want to age well. They want to live safely and securely in their own homes. So home care at the time seemed a good option. And also there were certain changes taking place in the home care funding landscape in Scotland. The market was moving more towards private care and giving people more choice and access to their own funding. And when I did more research, it led me to Home Instead. And at that time, quite luckily, they were looking to increase their footprint in Scotland. And really, that's how it all started.
And how is it going? How is the business for you now? Are you glad?
Business actually, we're fortunate and we're very grateful that business has been very good for us. We weren't affected very much by the pandemic. In fact, the business grew during the pandemic. Our group revenues are on track to grow by more than 50% this year. This is primarily because not only do we have the support of an established franchisor, but we also have an established business model. In home care, it's all about your personal brand and your presence in the local community, and we've worked really hard to establish that. However, it wasn't all plain sailing. When we first started up, it was very slow. There was little brand awareness of Home Instead in Scotland at the time, and we had to persevere, and it took us, I think, almost 4 or 5 years before we hit our first milestone. And a milestone in this business is reaching £1 million revenue for one office. In Glasgow North,
That's pretty good.
In Glasgow North, it took us 5 years. When Taz started up Glasgow South, the brand had more traction, we had more experience. It took us only 3 years to achieve that milestone in Glasgow South, and hopefully we'll achieve that milestone within Stirling and Falkirk next year.
I mean, that's really cool. That's really cool. So you're in a multi-million-pound business. I love it.
Well, the target for this year is £5 million in revenues. And the group at the moment, we employ almost 300 carers and office staff. We supply care to just over 300 clients. So the growth has been quite exponential, especially in the last two or 3 years.
So we'll have a range of people listening to this today, and they're probably quite early on thinking about their business and franchising and the direction they want to go in. What advice would you give to people when they're starting out?
The biggest piece of advice I can give to anybody when considering any franchise system, Harriet, is to speak to other franchisees in the network. They will give you the most honest and frank opinion of whether the system works for them or not. So once you've done your due diligence, there's a lot of information on the internet. There's a number of franchise portals, a number of franchise consultants and websites out there. There's a lot of information on the internet. But once you've honed it down to 2 or 3 options, speak to the franchisees within that system.
You must know a lot of franchisees. Do you think there's a particular personality type that makes a good franchisee?
Franchisees come from many different backgrounds, Harriet. Some are entrepreneurs with previous business experience. Others are starting their business journey, and many come from corporate or career backgrounds. I think the most important quality is that you have to be able to work hard for the first few years as you learn the system and the processes and you build your team. And so in those first few years, I think Taz would agree with me, resilience and motivation are absolutely key. And if you're looking to build a multi-unit operation like we have, it's important that you develop your leadership qualities, you develop your own brand. And for the business to keep on growing, you have to develop a layer of leadership who is aligned with your values and your vision. This will allow you to work on the business rather than being operational within the business.
That's good advice. I love that. Suhail, Tasnim, it's been so lovely talking to you both, and I'm so pleased that you're making such a success of it, and I look forward to your Scottish and then world domination. It's been lovely chatting to you. If you've enjoyed this, then good news is we're doing a couple more videos all about franchising. The next one I think is going to be on money, so actually the funding behind it and how you get into it. And if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments and I'll make sure that I get somebody who knows not even more than I do, way more than I do, to come and answer them.